Hey everybody, what's going on? It is James here with Crypto Common Sense. Wanted to shoot a quick market update video for you. It's September the 10th, just after 3 o'clock Central Time, and Bitcoin finally hit my short target. So it's been a good day for me. Before I jump into today's content, please do me a huge favor. Go ahead and give me a thumbs up on this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Also, don't forget you can check that little bell icon to get notifications when I come out with a new video, which is pretty much every single day. So first, let's talk about Bitcoin, then we're going to talk about alts. So obviously, Bitcoin has been wonderful. So Bitcoin has actually acted exactly as I expected, and I talked about this in a video last week. I expected or suspected that we were in an accumulation phase. We had a markup, that we were going through distribution, and that we would then have a markdown somewhere around the $9,900 level. And in fact, this is what that tweet looked like way back on September 3rd, and here we are, September 10th. Here was our accumulation, our markup, our distribution, and here's our markdown, right down to that $9,900 level. So with that being said, what's next? Well, that is really going to be the question for the rest of this week. I personally believe, let me go back to an actual chart here. I personally believe that this was only the beginning of the dump, okay? I do not think we're done dumping. Now we may get some type of relief bounce, but listen, I talked about this in yesterday's video. I said that we were inside of the symmetrical triangle and I was looking for this to break south or north. It decided to break south. So I do think we're going to go further. This is a 4-hour chart. There's a lot of room. We can drop down, pretty far in that RSI before we get any kind of major bounce off of that. If we're looking at the fractal, this is the fractal that I was talking about in yesterday's video. This is basically a fractal from this line right here over to this area here, this dump that happened after we tested the top of our large descending triangle, right? You remember the descending triangle, the one that a lot of people keep calling an ascending or a symmetrical triangle, the one that I believe is a descending triangle, right? Looks something like that. After we tested the top last time, we had this major sell-off. We've tested the top again, and I do believe we're going to have a major sell-off. This is what that fractal looked like. It played very, very closely, started to get away here, came back up into the fractal, and then it really, through here, full disclosure, I started to get nervous. I started to think that maybe this was not going to go down, that it was going to continue to find support right around this 10,185 area, and then it was going to end up bouncing and burning me. So what I did was I actually closed a good portion of my short right in this area. It was still for a profit, but it's always, you're always a little salty after the fact when it starts to do what you thought it was going to do all along. That being said, risk management's a key in trading, and I needed to take some profits in case I was wrong and it started to go back up. So, sure, there's regrets because there's always regrets when you don't make as much as you could have, but overall it was the correct play. So I do think that we're going to continue to go down. I think, realistically, I know a lot of people aren't talking about this. In fact, somebody left a comment on one of the videos, I think it was yesterday, saying that it took a brave analyst to be bearish when everybody else was bullish. And it does take it takes some confidence in what you're doing to go against the crowd. But I will tell you that I learned the hard way that going with the crowd will burn you. I went against the crowd in December of 2017, and because everyone was disagreeing with me, it felt like I finally caved in. I capitulated, and I bought back my Bitcoin right around $13,000. Bitcoin that I had sold and that I was sure was going to go down. I bought it back, and then of course a few weeks later the market crashed, and that's what cost me so dearly, was buying back that Bitcoin like that. So this time I stuck to my guns, and I'm glad I did. I think we're going to go down. Remember, we have some really, really strong support down on this like $9,200 to $9,000 area. That's going to be a really, really tough area to break through down in this zone, right in through here. And we also have really strong support around this $9,300 to $9,500 area in here. So there's some there's still a lot of obstacles here. This could absolutely come down and just do another bounce, right? And try to take off again, pull people in. Or it may be that the whales are finally done, taking the money from the regular folks, and they may go ahead and let this thing dump and finally fill the CME gap. I want to tell you the CME gap, it just got filled, the smaller one right here. Okay, this was the small one that I was talking about needing to fill. It's now filled, but we still have the big gap, the one down at 8,500. And I'm about to show you something that I've talked about sporadically in past videos, but I haven't spent a lot of time on it. I'm going to show you something called, I don't even know the name of it, honestly. It's from William Gann, however you pronounce his name. It's actually one of his principles. It's a 50% rule. And essentially the rule says that an asset, however long it takes it to go up, to rally, it will typically retrace 50% and 50% of the time. So what I need to do to show you this is I need to pull up a Bitcoin daily chart. I thought I had one somewhere, but I'm not seeing it. So I'll just use this one real quick and I'll show you. Just draw this out. So if we measure our rally in days from the very bottom on December 15th to the very top on June 26th was 193 days. So according to Gann principle, we should go down to 8,500 in half as much time. So half of 193 is, I don't know, 96, I think, 96 and a half. So we'll draw 96 bars. And that gives us a date of September 30th. That's when we should reach the halfway point according to this theory. And if we measure from the bottom on December 15th to the top, half is 84.98. If we look at our futures chart, our gap is actually sitting down here at 8,515. Okay, so realistically, it may be that we hit this right around the end of this month. Could be sooner. I think it's going to be sooner. I think it's probably going to be this week. But if not this week, it could be that we go down here, we get one more bounce, right, up to test the top side of this triangle. Let me draw a little better line here. So maybe we get one more little bounce to test this thing, and then we don't, right? Or it would be more like up here and then bam, right? Or like just like that, right? Could be something like that, but I think it's going to happen sooner. So we'll see how that goes, but I'm very bearish on Bitcoin still. Now, it doesn't mean we won't have any bounces, right? We need to be very clear about that. You almost always are going to have some type of relief bounce when you're making any movement. So let's talk about relief bounces. I'm on Twitter this morning. I'm reading everybody's tweets and I'm saying everybody's so darn bullish on altcoins. It's alt season, it's alt season, it's alt season. They're doing this yesterday. They're doing it again today. All the big guys, right? 50,000 followers, 100,000 followers. The guys that I seriously suspect most of them don't actually trade. They make a living shilling products. And it's real easy to make calls when you're not putting your money in. So what I want to talk about is this post. I did this yesterday. I said that, hey, look, for all of us living back here in reality, all we've actually done is come down and basically we're retesting support flipped resistance. And then this morning I actually posted this up, an updated version of this, saying this is what I think is going to happen, right? So we came up, we tested this line, which was our support line from December. It failed. It's going back down. I think we are in a falling wedge. Could be totally wrong. And I think what's going to actually happen is I think this is going to come down here, either down to this Fibonacci level, this 78 fib level, or just down to this bottom of this wedge here, which if you look, lines up perfectly with this huge volume gap. We've got this massive gap right here. So if we go over, that lines up at the bottom of this wedge. And this is what I suspect is going to happen. I suspect that these alts are going to bleed out just a little bit more as Bitcoin retraces. I think Bitcoin's going to go ahead and come down. I think alts are going to come down with it just a little more, right? They're mostly bled out at this point. There's not a lot left to capitulate on. I think we'll hit the bottom of this wedge, and I think we'll probably bounce off of it. And I think that will be the start of our alt season. All right. So I expect that to happen probably, if I had to guess, and it's just a guess, I'm expecting alt season prior to be sometime in October, right? Maybe just a couple of weeks away. So keep an eye on that one. All right, that's what I'm thinking on alts. As far as Litecoin goes, Litecoin has actually held up pretty good during this dump. So we could see lots of things on the alt stuff. I'm a little less confident on it than I am Bitcoin, but I feel pretty good about it. Right? I haven't bought back any of the alts that I sold. I'm still short, as far as I let go of a lot of positions and I haven't repurchased them. So I'm still short in that aspect. I don't have any open short positions open in the sense that I've got an open Litecoin short, or I've got an open short an OMG or anything like that. But overall, guys, this is playing out. It's very cliche stuff. It's not really, too surprising. We just dropped right back inside of this descending trend line here, right? This was what I thought was a descending triangle. Looks something like that. That's just kind of a quickly drawn one, but we are now back inside of it. And essentially what happened was we came up on the weekly and we actually tested our trend, RSI trend. Look at this. See this right here, if I can get it to kind of work with me. Right, so we came up, basically touched that when the weekly closed a couple days ago, and we've been rejected, and now we're going down. So again, we're back inside of the daily one. We've been rejected on the weekly. Those are bearish signs. On the higher time frame, we've been in a clear lower high pattern, so that's bearish signs. This is looking really, really good for a rejection and a move down. Now, that's alts, that's Bitcoin. Something else I want to talk about today that I'm going to break trend a little bit. I want to talk about gold, right? And before I talk about gold, I want to say that I am not an expert on gold. I literally know nothing about gold. Other than that, I've studied charts a little bit, and I've looked at the history of gold. I find it very fascinating that it moves so much like Bitcoin. So this is a chart of gold. This is circled back here because this was where anybody with a brain would have been buying gold. Look at this. It came down after it was, it basically came down, came up, put in a double bottom right here, and then took off. Ironically for me, this was right about, shortly, I was a little over 18. I was 19 years old right here, and I was telling my wife, it's too bad I didn't get involved in this stuff sooner, because when I was 19 years old, I was very fortunate. I got a really good job. I made really good money, and I had almost no bills, right? I had no debt. So I could have been buying gold at $250 an ounce, which is wild. But basically, after we went up and we came down off of gold, very cliche so far, we've actually come up and we're just shy of this 61.8 Fibonacci level. And I'm just wondering, first of all, I want to say I'm not taking this trade. I don't even know how to short gold. I'm assuming you can short it. I haven't looked to see if I can short it. I'm just going to paper trade this and just kind of see. What I really want to do is invest in gold for the long term. But I'm curious to see if over the next several months, because this is a monthly chart, this isn't daily. I'm curious to see over the next several months if this thing comes back down in this zone right here. Because again, if this is if it follows Gan's principle, it should retrace 50%, at least 50% in an uptrend. And I think this is probably an uptrend, right? This looks a lot like Bitcoin. Does it not? It's crazy, right? I think we'll probably retrace and then move up from there with gold. But again, not sure. I've never traded gold. It moves so slow. This chart looks like something you'd see. This looks like a year-long chart in crypto, but this is actually about a decade from the top back here to now. It's been about 9 years or 8 years. This was August of 2011, so I guess it's been about 8 years. So I don't know how long it'll take, but if we can get back down this channel in the next couple of years, I'll be looking to go long on some gold, right? So it was interesting. I wanted to share that with you guys because these markets are very cliche. I posted earlier about I was thinking about shorting gold, or if I knew how to short gold, I would short gold, something along those lines. And somebody basically said that there's no way that they would trade their fiat for gold. And they might be right. They know a lot more about it than I do. But it sure doesn't look good, right? It sure looks toppy. And look at this. That's this is a daily chart. Look at this massive bear divergence going on. Look at that crazy stuff, right? So I thought I'd share that. Overall though, I'm feeling really good. Anytime you're in a trade, for a long period of time, it's really easy to start getting nervous and second guessing yourself. And I'm glad I didn't do that this time. I'm glad I waited and let this thing play out. So now we'll just have to see how it reacts now that it's dumped. And we'll have to see, does it find support and head back up? Or does it follow this fractal where it just completely craps out and, heads down? Because remember, this thing basically did this to it, had this big dump. It looked like it was going to find a relief bounce, and then every relief bounce was just nothing. Just down, 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 down. So if you're looking for longs right now, kudos to you for having the balls to do so, but just be careful because this might be that, It's always that one time. What happens with trading a lot of times is you don't short it, you don't short it, you don't short it, and you're like, man, I should have done it, I should have done it, I should have done it, and then you're like, okay, I'm going to do it this time, and that's the time that it burns you. So if you missed this short, and you missed this short, and you missed this short, and you missed this short, be careful trying to suddenly go short here because you think you're going to write it down here, right? Or if you miss this long, and you miss this long, and you miss this long, and you miss this long, be careful thinking you're going to go long here and write it up here, right? I mean, I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying make sure you're using proper risk reward, because it's always that one time that you think, okay, I'm going all in, that you shouldn't go all in, all right? With all that being said, please remember I am literally some guy sitting in a spare bedroom, not a financial advisor, not your financial advisor, and nothing in this video is financial advice or trade advice. You should always do your own due diligence before making any type of investment. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure and give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Also, don't forget you can check the description for links where you can follow me on TradingView, Twitter, and also where you can join my free Facebook group where I post stuff like these charts way in advance, right? Like this chart from September 3rd, wherever it went, right? This was posted up in my Facebook group on September 3rd, absolutely free, no catch. Thanks again for watching. This is James with Crypto Common Sense. Trade safe.